We're here today on RealAgriculture.com. We're with Michele Payn-Knoper. Her company is called Cause Matters. Welcome today, Michele.
Hi, Sean. Thanks for having me.
Michele, you are working very, very hard and diligently, traveling all across the United States, in trying to engage farmers in social media, talking to them about the power of it, trying to educate them on it, and trying to really, I guess, give them examples of how they can use it. What have been some of your what have been some of your experiences?
The experience that I've seen of agriculture using social media has really been a significant increase over the last months in particular. This last winter, a lot of farmers and a lot of folks in agriculture engaged in the social media community. And the reason why I feel it's so important is because the reality is that at least in the States, 98.5% of our population is not on a farm. And I know you face the same battles there in Canada. And we do not have a voice in the conversation if we're not present. And major tools such as Twitter and Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and blogging.
And so, you've been had a huge extensive travel schedule. You've basically touched, I think, almost how many states have you traveled in the last year talking to farmers about social media?
I have no idea, to be honest with you. I can tell you that I was in 10 states in June, and those were states that I spoke in and worked with a lot of corn farmers. And I have seen the pendulum swing. I've been doing social media training for about 2.5 years now, and I have seen people go from needing to be convinced to quite frankly being intimidated. So I would encourage all of you, if you've heard about Facebook but you really don't get how to use it as a business tool, don't be embarrassed and ask for help. Likewise, Twitter is not an intuitive tool whatsoever, and most people's reactions to get on Twitter is to look at it's ridiculous, and it is to some extent, but you can use it to really effectively have a voice for the way food is raised, why fuel from farms is an important issue, and some of those types of conversations. So I can't tell you how many states I've been in. I have been across North America talking about social media. I've made a couple trips up to Canada as well. I consider it, quite frankly, to be a blessing that I'm able to do something that I love and work in a business that I love dearly, like agriculture.
So you'd mentioned that the acceptance is rising amongst farmers. What are some of farmers' common questions about social media?
The first question is, I don't have time for this, so why should I? And what I always ask farmers for is 15 minutes a day. And the reality is, everyone has 15 minutes a day, particularly if you have a smartphone and auto steer. I know a lot of farmers that actually tweet from the tractor while they're bored out there planting and or harvesting. So that can take care of the time question. But I do ask people for 15 minutes a day, and you can get a tremendous amount done. Simple messages such as why use biotechnology on your farm or what you're doing with the animals today go a very long ways in helping people understand food production and farming. The other major issue that a lot of folks are concerned about is their privacy, and I can certainly understand that, having significant experience with activists myself. And what I do is I encourage people to know enough about tools like Facebook and Twitter to be able to manage your privacy. I can tell you I've never had an incident because of social media. And I would encourage people to ensure that they address their concerns, but really get out there and look at the big picture rather than only what's happening on their own farm.
So, like, what are critics would say? What is the benefit for a farmer to tweet from his tractor while planting? Like, what are we really trying to accomplish? What do you say to that?
What I say to that is pretty straightforward. If you want to be able to protect your farm as you see fit, to raise your animals and care for your land and to take care of your environment as you see fit, as an agriculturalist, as an agrologist, as a plant scientist, as an animal scientist, then you need to be a part of the social media conversation. The reality is there's 460 million people plus on Facebook. It was adapted to 150 million users, nearly 3 times faster than a cell phone. It's not a fad. It's not going away. The other dose of reality is that groups such as the Humane Society of the United States, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, and Greenpeace have had an increasing social media presence and, quite frankly, are doing a great job of proliferating misinformation. So if you don't care about your future in agriculture, if you don't care about Canada's or America's future in agriculture and consumers understanding what farmers do, then don't engage in the conversation.
Yeah, and you say the word conversation, and I think that's what I say to people a lot when we talk about it, is that it's not just about throwing these blind sort of statements out there that really nobody would care about. It's really engaging in a conversation.
Yeah, it sure is. And that's something that I've integrated in just the last couple of months in my training is that what I try to encourage people to do is to look at it as a conversation. And I believe in order to learn, or excuse me, in order to earn the right to educate, that we first have to listen. That doesn't mean you have to agree with what people are saying. That doesn't mean that you need to like what they're saying. But if you listen, you then have the opportunity to engage. And when you engage with people, it's a two-way conversation, it's a dialogue. And once you've followed those first couple of steps, which I wrote a whole blog about it at causematters.com, you do earn the right to educate. I think too often we in agriculture are defensive. We don't work on a proactive basis. We have a tendency to sometimes only react to all of the nasty videos and nasty messages that are put out there about farming. And the reality is we won't be able to educate people if we only do it on agriculture's terms. We have to reach out to mainstream North America.
Michele, finally, you've been, I guess what I also wanted to ask you about was the Ag Chat Foundation. You were heavily involved in starting, we've talked about Ag Chat on Twitter before on Real Agriculture, so some people should be familiar with it. But what is the Ag Chat Foundation?
Okay. The Ag Chat Foundation, which you can find at agchat.org, agchat.org, is a phenomenal group of volunteers. The Ag Chat Foundation was founded to bring together a lot of ideas on how to best serve agriculture through social media. And it's really about empowering a connected community of advocates, as we like to say. And so what we're focusing on is training, specifically targeted at farmers, strategic campaigns to help get the agriculture message, whether it's fuel, feed, or fiber or food. It's also about doing some data analysis so that we can look at some of the numbers as far as results and behind the scenes work, and then also offering technology scholarships. So if you're like me and you work in a rural area, I happen to be on a high-speed line. I have DSL, and I consider that to be great fortune. Other farmers don't have that fortune, and so sometimes we need to be able to give them technology scholarships to bring them up into a faster connection, or perhaps it's just a flip video camera or something along those lines. So that's really what the Ag Chat Foundation is about, and at the end of the day, it's an incredible grassroots example that has brought a significant amount of conversation around agriculture and within agriculture on the tough issues. So I'm really proud of the people that are involved, and it's exciting to be a part of a not-for-profit. And Sean, I appreciate all the time you've put into it as well.
Well, I appreciate that, and I think I can speak for a lot of people that we appreciate the time that you've put into it. You have a great blog. We'll wrap up. I want to say thanks for joining us today. What is the URL again to your blog, Michele?
The URL to my website and blog, which was just launched, is actually causematters.com. So causematters.com, and you'll find the blog postings, articles, as well as the latest and greatest information relevant to social media and agriculture.
Perfect. Michele, thanks a lot for joining us today.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you having me, Sean, and good luck to everybody.